And lua itself means pit. It means to bury your opponent, in a deep, dark pit behind the house. And there's no consideration for your opponent, not in training, but of course in an altercation, where you go straight down. There is no beautiful walk down or throw. Literally, you want to take the feet out and make sure it's the spine that actually hits the ground.
Kung Fu Chronicles back in the house again. Okay, I know you've probably seen it already, but if not, it's worth repeating. We had an amazing interview with Master Giora Orman out there in Israel. If you have not checked that out, go ahead and do that. Not now, but later. We did have an amazing discussion about his style of Wu Wei Kung Fu. I'll leave that link for you guys right here so you can check it out. But right now, do me that solid if you haven't already. Smash that like button like you've never smashed it before, and throw some love in the comment section. Let us know what you're looking forward to, what you'd like to see on the channel, okay?
Okay, let's move on.
This time though, legendary status. We've got a true martial arts master. Her name is Michelle Manu. And if you haven't heard of her, well, where the hell have you been? But we're gonna talk to her about her long martial arts history and so much more. Okay, a reminder to stay till the end of the video though, so that you guys can witness some of the various self-defense techniques from Michelle's very effective Lua system, all right? So Black Eyed Peas style, baby, let's get it started. I have a very prominent martial artist, stunt woman, actor, lawyer, Miss Michelle Manu. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Oh man, thanks for being here. First of all, I'm a fan, and I have to put that out there. We have a mutual friend. I think you just did a film and shot some a film with a good friend of mine, training brother, Tori Lawrence. So I asked him about you, and he said he had a really good time filming with you.
Yeah, it was a great day. We were on top of this steamy roof in LA, downtown LA. And he's just, Tori was amazing to work with.
Yeah, but I want to get into your history a little bit. I know it's primarily the Hawaiian art that you study, but I just want for the audience, and I know you've told the story before, how did you get started in martial arts?
Well, I started as a young girl at 9 years old, and it really wasn't anything thought out. I think my mother saw a 2-for-1 special, and she said, "You and your sister are going," and I was like, "What are you talking about? It's a boys' activity," and here you are today. So, I mean, it literally took me like 10 minutes on the floor, feeling uncomfortable, watching the movements and then doing them, following along, where I realized it's not a boys' activity. So yeah, it's changed my life.
So what specific art did you train in the beginning?
I started in American Kenpo, and so I moved to the Midwest, specifically Chicagoland area, and I was touring as a Polynesian professional performer. And I decided that being on the stage, it was very difficult, so cardio wise. So I took up some Korean art specifically for the cardio. And yeah, so that, at least I got that sort of workout in to help me while I was on the stage.
Nice. Yeah, and you did a lot of things athletically. I read about like gymnastics, obviously dancing, football too. Is that right?
How long was that? 40 yards.
I don't even drive that far.
How did that come about?
It was actually really hard to, I had trouble turning down my martial skills on the field. Something switches and then you're in pursuit. It's not even your assignment. And next thing you know, you're across the field kicking someone. So I had to really watch myself during football. But I think, I always wanted to play football, and that wasn't something that I was allowed back in the day. And one day I woke up, specifically 2001, and I said, I want to play football. I did a search. The internet was kind of new back then. I found 3 locally and decided to try out for the Long Beach Quake right here in California, and I made the team. And it was an amazing 5 years that I got to play. And the athleticism of the women. And what was hard for me was, we do martial, we have a partner, you work out, but really it's all about your own development. And others are just there for you to use and master, right? How much percentage of power are you going to release at what angle, right? The physics do. But on the football field, you're one of 11. And then there's the other team. And it was a first time really being in a group sport. And that changed a lot for me. So I enjoyed it.
No, and that's awesome. It's pretty rare that women get involved, but I love the fact that you've done it. It's like you kind of have this, like, so much variety in your life and diversity, and I love that as foundation. So talk to me a little bit about Lua specifically, how you got into that specific style of martial art.
Well, it's not something that's just out there saying, come and take Lua. It's tightly held to the chest and valued as a cultural practice, not just a martial art. It's one of the things that's within the warrior practice. And so I didn't know that back then, but I couldn't believe it. I found my instructor in the Yellow Pages, which you wouldn't normally find. And, pre-internet. And it was very difficult to even speak with him, let alone get him on the phone. Like I couldn't get through. And when I did, finally, he invited me to watch a class. And I came in with all my, early 20s stink on me. Like, I'm going to do this. But I didn't realize there was a whole process of being accepted as a student, let alone as a disciple. And it helped me to evolve as an individual and grow as a pretty dangerous young woman. Packages are one thing. And I really had a lot of, stuff in there that needed to be honed and learned how to be accepted, and then use that energy in a constructive and very productive way. And so I'm so grateful to have found my teacher. He will be gone 2 years next month. It's just been an adjustment, I think for all of us. And there's not many of us in the group, but he impacted us so much that it can, like all of our teachers, right? Most of our teachers, they continue to walk and live through us. And that's what's happening now. Yeah.
Specifically Lua, like if you were to explain to people that just like are just laymen, like what are some of the differences between that, say, and say maybe even like Kung Fu or karate or something like that? I know you guys stress a lot of pressure point stuff and bone breaking, but what are some of the differences you'd see if you described it?
Well, thank you for asking it this way, because it's so deep.
Yeah, I know.
Philosophies and practices that we believe in and the ultimate balance within ourselves and the world. But as far as physical techniques, it's inside and outside. I mean, we're inside as quick as we can get. It's got to be over quick. Think of battle tactics. So locking up and ebbing and flowing. So our body becomes the tide. There's this back and forth and up and down that happens. And it's point A to point B. Sometimes we'll go around like maybe, for instance, like one of our crooked or naheka, the snake, like the crooked punch, right? Where we're completely angled down and we rise. Right. And then it's released on an angle around the arm. Or there's other times where we just boom, blast through. There's a hand. It doesn't matter who. Here it is.
Yeah, so cool. Love that.
Reading the tide, reading your environment. So it's another parable for life. But if you were to look at the kahiko, the ceremonial traditional hula, and then you very strong hula, right? All of these movements. If you look at those and you translate that now into contact, not just storytelling, that's pretty much what the art looks like. And we're inside doing it within a 3.5 foot circle. And Lua itself means pit. It means to bury your opponent in a deep, dark pit behind the house. So there is this circular motion that happens. And there's no consideration for your opponent, not in training, but of course in an altercation where you go straight down. There is no beautiful walk down or throw. It is literally, you want to take the feet out and make sure it's the spine that actually hits the ground.
Because it's not supposed to be pretty. Technically, it's martial arts, and it's called that for a reason. And you mentioned your instructor who passed away a couple of years ago, and I know that he meant a lot to you. I also read that you were one of his only disciples who was a woman. Yeah, how did that come about? And I guess through the training, and what was that process like?
Well, I think, it's not that he didn't want to teach women since the early 80s. I think women brought, and my fellow women probably, some of them will disagree, most will understand what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. It's different for women to train. When you come Even now, in a nice, safe environment, there's things that distract women because they're governors of so much in their life and of so many. And that's our role. And it's not inferior. It's not superior either. But it gets in the way of our self-development and our commitments to ourselves, thus our training. So to welcome a woman sometimes, especially one that had a daughter under 5 years old, right. He took a on me because anything could have been my child sick. I never missed a class, even though I had my right side of my rib cage broken, or a left hematoma below my knee where I couldn't walk for 4 weeks, or 2 fractured hips, or broken fingers. Concussions. These are all from training. I never missed a class. And so I don't know if that level of training, whether it's male or female today, exists. You know, we do everything where it's comfortable. You pay for a set of classes and the teacher better be there.
Right.
You know, oh my gosh, that was an okay class. She probably, I think our students don't realize that we're lineage holders of information, and what you get is what you get. And I try to today, as the only female teacher, which is wonderful. But there's a lot of pressure that comes with that too. So I have to remember I'm just a guide. Yeah. And I do, Olohe told us, I give you the recipe, Kwasi, you will cook it differently. Our other brother will season it differently. I'll present it differently, but it's still the same recipe. So allowing myself now to bring in the hula, which he didn't have, and to bring in the massage that he didn't have, and other principles of the very ancient Kui Alua. What an honor it is to work with the elders today to bring some of those beautiful parts of our culture back in so it enriches everyone. But, back to your original culture, because I could easily deflect. It was not welcome initially. I think he's probably spent the first 8 years trying to get me to quit, but he did have some sort of love and hope for me that I would continue to be a disciple. I think now it's wonderful because I have so many Wahine women students, and they are now lineage holders as well. And so whether I'm here tomorrow or they choose to leave, whatever I was able to feed them during the time that they're with me, they take that and they can speak knowledgeably to you and others in the public about this art, this specific lineage, these other 2 lineages that do contribute once in a while, and truly how deep Lua is and how much it runs into our everyday life. So
what made you kind of think that, okay, I want to, or did you always have it in you, I want to actually teach this art as well, but that transition from student to teacher?
No, actually I was, we were really soldiers. So it was really about developing yourself so you're best for the entire squad. So, but there was a point in 2009 where he handed out, which we didn't know was coming as usual. He always did everything in his own time without warning. You didn't know it was a test. He was just like that, the element of surprise, keeping us on our toes. But in 2009, he handed out Kumu letters, teacher letters, in writing. Everything was in writing to show that we had permission. And from there, it became very obvious that he wanted some of us to carry on the lineage and to teach it. And it changed everything for me at that moment. It's one thing, Kwasi, to be able to be a great artist, to know your stuff, to make it work, to make it yours against any other opponent, regardless of size or gender. But then when you start to think about, well, how would I teach this to someone that's 100 pounds or 320 pounds? It changes things. How do you be there and help your student, regardless of age too, and their fitness level and their knowledge level? It's one thing too, again, the cerebral knowledge versus the body knowledge. Someone out there can da-da-da all day. Yep. But when they move, you see the decades of discipline and focused training that they have been able to master within themselves and be able to effectuate on someone else. So it changed everything in that sense where how would I explain? So we've got all different types of learners: audio, visual, hands-on. And how do we reach all of these learning styles when we're teaching someone and in a group? So it made me better. It made me better to be able to break it down and not disrespectfully put it in numbers. But yeah, there are checkpoints. You missed that first knife coming for your gut. It doesn't matter after that, So
Absolutely.
It's important. Off the line, move. angle, get out of the way. Now you can do something else, but you got to move quick. You got to know your options. And I think that is what us as teachers need to master, so we can give our students what they need.
When you're teaching or even within your art, I would say self-defense is probably one of the more prominent things that you guys are about. Versus,
yes. Yeah. So there's this principle in the Hawaiian culture called huku, and it's the pretty much reflection. We always see in the culture, oh, aloha, turn the other cheek. We know that comes from, right? Influence from the visitors. But it wasn't always like that. There was this kapu, this set of rules that governed over the society. And it's not restrictive. It was everyone had inherent value, and they had their place, and they had honor in completing their responsibility. Huku means to reflect. So if you were to come to me, and we can feel this if we're in tune with ourselves without any words, we can feel someone's intent towards us. And we reflect that, and then some more additionally. So this is how the society balanced itself. Someone came with aloha, love, acceptance. That's what we show, and then some. But if they came with a different intent, then it was our job to be trained in order to read that and to respond properly. And knowing these very devastating moves, it is also our responsibility to have control over our emotions so that we don't misuse it when we reflect, that we don't give it to someone that doesn't deserve it, that it actually goes to the main event, that, taking care of what we're supposed to take care of in our life. So same with the art. You reflect, you de-escalate, and you do what you have to. So very much self-defense.
Right. Since you bring it up, have you ever had to, unfortunately, really use your martial arts in real life and, scenarios?
Yeah, 3 situations. But, the way I hold my fork is also a lua. So I get to use it. The way I walk is the warrior walk. But yes, 3 situations. 1 was public, and 2 were actually at workshops. Can you believe that?
Oh, wow.
Do you think that you would be safe?
I'm about to say, someone tried you at a workshop? What?
Fine. Yeah. Fine.
Wow.
Well, you always, actual contact.
Okay.
But there's always guys in the background,
Yeah, it's like, did you really do that? Yeah. Show me that for real.
Is this going to be aerobics for 2.5 hours? And at the I read the room, right? Right. So those guys are always the ones waiting after class, asking to touch weaponry or for me to do a technique on them. And they become the biggest supporters. And I really appreciate that. So, looks can be deceiving. And I see it all the time. I don't blame gentlemen. I don't. You look at Instagram and there's all these, HIIT women doing it in thong bikinis. How do you separate the women that are looking for attention versus those that really know their stuff?
Right.
And you've got distractions, right? You can't read a book by its cover, Me too.
Yeah.
I recently saw one young lady on there, absolutely gorgeous, apparently a formidable stick fighter, but all I see is a bikini top or a sports bra and her whipping around the sticks and, smiling. And I think, my God, this is so confusing, not only to me, but to all of my brothers in the world. Yes, she's gorgeous, but, there's a difference between someone that can fling some sticks in a sports bra versus someone that actually knows her stuff and is imparting a lineage to live beyond her physical life here. So, there's always this confusing stuff in society. And so, thank you for even having me on, because some could easily dismiss me, as just one of those fitness martial
No way, because I've been aware of you for a while, and I love actually getting powerful women on the show, as many as I can, because I love to show the other side that this is not just, it's a male dominated art form, but at the same time there are women that do it just as effectively. So I always love showing that. And speaking of that, I was going to ask you about your S.H.E program. You got the shirt on there, the superhero experience. How did that all come about? And I know it's about women's empowerment, but
it is. But I've actually had young men in it too. So I renamed it for different age groups. So you got the little heroes, you have the sidekicks, and then of course heroes in training. It's been remarkable, and I never planned on it at all. I never really thought I would set out to work specifically with women, but it birthed itself in 2014 in Atlanta, of all places. Wow. I was there martial workshop, but then my host, Michael Reed, set up a women's self-defense course. And then I walked into this room and there were almost 80 women. And I realized at that moment, we have these pivotal moments, right? Especially as teachers, where I can't teach the traditional martial art to everyday women. So I had to repackage it and start from the very basic concepts of movement and breath and not blinking and positioning and fitness. If you can't get off the floor, then how are you going to get away from an attack? If you're scared of the corner or the wall, how are you going to use it to your benefit? So in 2014, it birthed in Atlanta. And from there, it just took on its own life. And now it's been taught all over the world. I'm just so grateful to be able to have that platform to make that impact. And, I work privately with women on their anniversaries of their rape. I've been able to work with women that are currently experiencing homelessness, to high-risk professions, such as flight attendants and real estate agents. And I feel so honored to be able to serve the world in this way.
Seeing, more people coming in now because of a lot of these crimes against Asian Americans? Are you seeing, is there more prevalence now, people walking in the door, hey, teach me some stuff, I want to be safer, or is that?
I think there's continued stigma around self-defense, because they picture that there are 1,700 black belts and he's supreme grandmaster overlord of the universe, and you just do this, and you're just and it's not, you don't just do anything. Everything has to be very thoughtful. Everything has to be prepared. Superheroes prepare. Yeah. They've got all the coolest gadgets. They work out. They know they've honed their skills. This is the level we need to get at. I think there's less stigma right now because of all that's been going on with all minorities. It's not just an AAPI thing. It's not just a Black thing. It's not just a Jewish thing. We're humankind, and there's these pervasive societal injustices. And I think media has a lot to do with that. And so the more I get to speak to someone like you and talk about these things, Shannon Lee, Deidre Hall, you name it, I'm able to talk more about this and try to level the playing field in my little corner of the world. But yes, there are more and more coming forward asking for, how it starts, Kwasi, it's just, well, I wonder if I could do that. It's that willingness. I think I need to, I'm so scared of the knife. I'm so scared of the zip tie. I'm so scared of the hammer. Can you show me a technique? And then it blows the door open and they're like, you know what? I need to do this. And I think there's so much to be said for the energy we feel in our body versus this we hear all the time. And watching something on YouTube, that's absolutely helpful. But I think in the movement, you learn I can do this. Oh my God, it's not that difficult. And after 7 to 10 times, they don't even see the knife anymore. They see the hand holding the knife. Right. So we get more and more women and men, young girls, young men, families together, and they can do this as a group or individually if they don't want to be watched or critiqued. I think they gain some personal power to be able to stand powerfully in the world against what we're all up against right now. We've always been, this sort of injustice drove my dad crazy. I mean, literally crazy. He brawled and scrapped and stepped toe to toe every day. To comments made to him while he's walking out of a store, while he's driving and purposely cut off. He started gaining some equipment and all sorts of things to help him because he just never knew how serious it was going to get. And he died very young from the rage, from this. And so I see that, and I am so much like my father, the oldest of 5. And I think being a woman helps to be able to have more control over myself and not lash out against everything that is said about me or, targeted towards my way. And I think everyone in their power of movement that is medicine, and it helps us work these things out and learn our skill set and our power is so important.
Just let me flip the switch of the conversation to more of your stunt work now. Now, how did you get involved with that? Is that something you've always wanted to do as well, or?
No. It's so interesting, when 7 years ago I started to release, with the blessing of my teacher, some of the principles of Lua. And I find that, like I keep saying, everyone talks so much and we're talking right now, but I think the movements show the power. And so I think it's just natural that, you probably have been contacted too, where there's other people out there like, oh my God, I'd love to have her just do in one scene, or I'd love to have her choreograph this, or maybe she can choreograph a whole fight scene. And I try to stay away from stunts now, But I still love to choreograph. I think it's a lot of fun. I get to show the devastation of Lua in film. It's or in a series. It's just wonderful. And so, of course, I'll say yes. It depends on the team, though, too. I don't like working with clowns. I don't like working with individuals that don't have a good reputation, are unorganized, that don't really care about you. They just want how they can use you.
Yeah.
And I'm not really great about working with people like that. And it's taken me some time to understand who is who and use our inner man, inner woman, my inner woman, to feel the situation. You know, everything may look good on paper, on email, but if it doesn't feel right, then I usually don't do it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that
But
makes sense.
a lot of fun.
I'll wrap up a little bit here with just giving some people some information if they want to reach out to you and train with you. Are you accepting students, or how do they go about doing that?
Well, there's the application process. There's specifically, I've got it down now, used to be more, to 6 questions that really give me a background on the inquirer, why Lua is calling to them. But I think the main question is do you feel that you could take instruction from a female kumu? This is very important to weed out men and women that think that this will be a kinky private lesson. It's not.
Wow, yeah. I didn't think about
No, I know men fall prey to that too as teachers. You know, they've got the women that are very interested in them. And this is not what this is. I have an online classroom, and all classes are recorded. Live classes, they're uploaded to the classroom, and students can watch it anytime. But there is an application process and a meeting with me personally. I look at the answers, and then I turn over paperwork for consideration, what the art is, what the art isn't, and requirements to be a haumana, a student in this lineage. And from there, they're invited to come to class, and there are certain classes throughout the week. I'm very involved with my students as far as their growth. I know where each of them are. When it's time for them to review and to elevate to the next warrior level, I ask, it's very unconventional, but I ask that they tell me, even though I know they're ready. It means all of their energy, focus, and confidence in moving forward and showing what they know and wanting to move forward to the next level, that they're ready. Right? And there's requirements to be a student. Don't just show up and just, get to see me teach you. Because this is very important to the native people of Hawaii, and for this to continue with integrity. So, I've got michellemanu.com, also Nawahine, koa, I think it is, .org, and kanekoa.org. And so men and women train separately for the first 4 warrior levels, and then they integrate after that.
Yeah, but what's next? What's next for Michelle Manu?
Some interesting sponsorships. My circle's getting smaller. It has to. And just being around quality people and those that don't just want to use me, and I can't be around others that use others as well. So it's about quality relationships more than the actual projects. And it's part of my evolution to learn that too. And I'm grateful to learn the lesson. But no, there's a lot happening, and may even take a fight soon. So we'll see.
Oh, wow. Okay. Please let me know when that happens.
Watch out, Grandma's coming to the ring, baby.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby.
Thank you for your support of me and the art and the culture and women as a whole. And it's men like you that help all of us equalize here and work well with one another. So thank you for your bravery.
I appreciate that. No, back at you. Alrighty, there you go. Another great spotlight with a truly amazing and great martial artist and person. Hope you guys enjoyed and got a little value out of Michelle's many experiences. And don't forget to follow us on our social media to get even more behind the scenes info on what's going on with the channel. Subscribe, of course, because that's how we grow. Let's grow, let's go. You know, that also ensures that you stay up to date with everything we've got when we drop new videos right here. So do hit that bell. Okay, self-defense moves, right? You want to check out how real it can get? Let's go.
Getting lower, biting the hand, maybe hitting him with the hammer, small circle, and hit. Blocking, striking, coming down, shooting, leg. Hey, don't touch me. So, run.
Okay, so your thoughts. Stuff you see in there that you could possibly use yourself?
Maybe.
Comment down below, let me know. Check a few other videos you may like while you're here. Stay safe, see you all in the next round, and of course, keep punching.